We might not live in medieval times anymore or have to deal with things like the Black Plague, but yet every day that we live life, there's always the chance of accidents happening, such as being stuck out in the wilderness or thrust into a position in which we are in danger. We cannot predict these things because sometimes they're inevitable, but rather we can prepare for them now so that we know what to do when we're in a position like this. So take out those notepads and get ready to memorize, because today we're going to be looking at the top 5 survival tips that could save your life. House fires may not be a commonplace danger anymore because they don't really happen that much, but that being said, there are still 7 people in the US every day who are killed by house fires, and we're around things every day that could potentially cause fires such as smoking or cooking equipment, and you may not think you will ever fall victim to a house fire, but it's better to know what to do before it happens instead of panicking if it ever does. Since everyone should have smoke detectors in their homes, you should be alarmed if a fire were to happen. So as soon as you hear that smoke detector, you should immediately start yelling to everyone of your family members so that they're notified if they didn't hear the alarm. And you should make sure not to waste any time grabbing valuables, because to tell you the truth, your teddy bear is not worth to go back for. And you may think it's better to run outside as fast as you can, but no, you should rather crawl as low as possible so you don't inhale any smoke. Inhaling smoke is going to make you disoriented, and since smoke rises, you should be safer the lower you are. And if you do catch on fire, remember what Mrs. Thomas said in grade 1, stop, drop, and roll, and that will most likely put out the fire. But if for some reason you're trapped in your room, your best bet would to put towels on the vents and cracks so no smoke gets in and start yelling for help. Also, you can attempt to climb out the window as well, but just make sure you don't fall. If you follow these tips, I'm sure you'll have a better chance of getting out of the house fire. For those of you who go hiking deep into the woods, there are a lot of dangerous things that can hurt you, but I think the worst is definitely getting bitten by a snake. The reason why snakes bite is to kill their prey for food and if they feel threatened. And there are 2 basic types of snake venom that exist. One affects the blood, such as the venom from vipers, and one affects the nerves, which are the ones from cobras. If you or a person you do know is bitten by a snake, remember 2 things. Don't panic and get them to a hospital. You might be thinking, duh, anybody could have figured that out, but there are a few other things that you can remember. Always make sure to keep the person who got bit by the snake calm and restricted. And you may not know this, if you were to let them panic, the venom could most likely spread much faster through their body because of their rapid heartbeat. Also, remember to keep the person warm because that'll help release stress on them and keep them still. And make sure no water or food is given to the person, because you want to keep their metabolism as low as possible so their body isn't working too hard. Since the only real way to treat a snake bite is with the anti-venom, you would have to get them to an establishment that would have it, such as a hospital, as quickly as possible before the venom spreads. But remember, if you and the person affected remain calm, you could potentially survive a snake bite. Being stabbed or even shot is for sure a huge fear of a lot of people, but everyone should know what to do if you were pierced by an object. Despite what movies like 21 Jump Street tell you, never take the object out you've been stabbed with unless under proper medical supervision. And I'm gonna tell you why. The reason you don't want to take a knife out or anything else out of your wound is because the object is potentially the only thing that's stopping you from bleeding out. The reason for this is it's pressing up against your blood vessels and therefore the only thing blocking them from completely bleeding out. Another reason you don't want to take a knife out is because you don't know what angle or depth the stab wound is, and therefore, if you were going to remove it, you could potentially be causing more damage than you initially had. The best course of action is leaving it in until you're at a hospital where it can be taken out safely by a doctor so no further damage is done. Being a part of a car accident is horrible, but imagine you're in an accident and you end up trapped in a car being submerged by water. Now that's terrifying. But if you were to ever be in a situation like that, I'm gonna let you know how to get out of it. Over the course of a year, 400 North Americans die from being trapped in a car underwater. And that's because they panic and don't know what to do to get out of the situation. The first thing you should do is, if you know you cannot avoid crashing into the water, is attempt to brace yourself. The ideal position would be to have your hands on the steering wheel in the 9 and 3 position. That's because the airbag will most likely inflate upon impact, and therefore, if your hands are in another position, they can even be fractured or just break. The next thing to do is unbuckle your seatbelt. And according to Professor Dr. Gordon Glesbrecht, the seatbelt is the first thing to attend to, but yet often gets forgotten in the panic. And the reason you should unbuckle is because it can potentially trap you once you're in the water. What you can do next is open the window right when you hit the water. You should never try to open the door, because due to the water pressure pushing against it, it's not going to open. But because the car's electrical system should work for a few minutes, even if it's underwater, you should be able to get the window open and escape from there. But if for some reason the window isn't opening, you should always carry around on your keys a window smasher, because you can use this to break the window and escape. It could potentially save your life. Being stranded in the wilderness can feel overwhelming and scary, especially if you're not used to being in the outdoors. That's why in the case you're in that position, you should know the universal edibility test so that you don't eat anything that can harm you, because even a tiny bite of a toxic plant can cause stomach problems and even lead to death. So number 1, make sure you separate the plant into the roots, stems, leaves, and flowers so that you can focus on each part separately. Number 2, make sure to smell it, because a strong odor is a bad sign. Number 3, check the plant for contact poisoning by placing a small piece on your inner elbow for a few minutes and see if you have a reaction. Number 4, if you don't have a reaction, boil the plant and prepare it as if you were going to cook it. Number 5, once boiling it, touch the plant on your lips to see if there's a reaction, and if there isn't, hold it in your mouth and see if there's a reaction there, and if in the case there isn't, chew it, but if it tastes soapy or bitter, spit it out. Number 6, if you don't feel ill, assume the plant is edible, but repeat this step for every part, because you never know which part of the plant you can eat and which you can't. But this should always be taken as a last resort when there are no other options left, because some people argue that even a small exposure to a poisonous plant can have horrible effects. So remember this test, but make sure to use it in the right moment. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, let me know in the comments, and I'll make a part 2 for this top 5. Also, make sure to like and subscribe, as it really helps me out, and turn on the bell notification, because once I reach 50 subscribers, I'm going to be doing a giveaway of a $25 Play Store or iOS gift card. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one.